Hey there, rock fans! Buckle up because today we're diving into one of the wildest stories in music history. You know that band Europe, the ones who gave us the unforgettable The Final Countdown? They went from topping charts worldwide to vanishing at the peak of their fame, leaving fans stunned and heartbroken. What happened to Joey Tempest and his band? Was it drama, greed, or something totally out of left field? Stick with me until the very end of this video because I'm unpacking the full story, their meteoric rise, their shocking fall, and the comeback that no one saw coming. Trust me, there are twists you won't want to miss, so let's get started. Imagine it's the late 80s, you're flipping on the radio, and there it is, that iconic keyboard riff from The Final Countdown. It's everywhere on TV, at sports events, even as a ringtone years later. The song didn't just hit the charts. It owned them, topping sales in 26 countries and selling a mind-blowing 15 million copies. It was played at the 1988 Summer Olympics and became the anthem for millennium celebrations. That's the kind of impact Europe had. But behind the fame and the sold-out tours, there's a story most fans have never heard. How did a group of kids from a small Swedish town become global rock gods, and why did they walk away from it all? Let's rewind to the 70s to a place called Upplands Visby, just outside Stockholm. This is where Joey Tempest, the heart and soul of Europe, grew up. Back then, Sweden was a hot spot for rock music. Big-name bands like Queen, AC/DC, Black Sabbath, and Deep Purple would swing through Stockholm on their world tours, playing at the legendary Johanneshovs Stadion. For young Joey and his friends, these concerts were everything. They'd catch a 40-minute train ride into the city, grab some beers, and soak in the electric atmosphere. They'd hang out before the shows, blasting music and dreaming of the day they'd be on stage. Those moments weren't just fun, they were life-changing. Joey wasn't just a fan. He was obsessed with music. As a teenager, he started collecting vinyl records. His collection wasn't massive, maybe 150 to 200 records, but every single one mattered. He'd spin albums by David Bowie, Elton John, and Mott the Hoople, letting their sounds spark his imagination. Glam rock bands like Slade and Mud also caught his ear with their catchy hooks and bold style. These records didn't just entertain Joey, they shaped him. He'd listen for hours, picking apart the melodies and lyrics, dreaming of creating something just as powerful. That passion was the seed that would grow into Europe. By the early 80s, Joey was ready to make his mark. He teamed up with a group of friends who shared his love for rock: John Norum on guitar, John Levin on bass, and Meg Kelly on keyboards. They started jamming in basements and local venues, calling themselves Force at first. In 1982, they changed their name to Europe and began writing original songs. Joey, with his knack for melody and larger-than-life charisma, became the frontman. The band worked tirelessly, playing gigs wherever they could and building a loyal local following. But they weren't content with small-town fame. They wanted the world. Their big break came in 1986 with the release of The Final Countdown. That album was a game-changer. The title track wasn't just a song. It was a cultural phenomenon. With its soaring vocals, epic guitar riffs, and that unforgettable keyboard hook, it captured the spirit of the 80s. Joey wrote the song with a sci-fi twist, imagining a spaceship leaving Earth. It wasn't about politics or anything heavy. It was just a fun, larger-than-life anthem. But its universal appeal made it perfect for everything from basketball games to New Year's Eve parties. The song's success propelled Europe to global stardom, and suddenly, they were living the rock star dream. Europe didn't stop there. They followed up with Out of This World in 1988 and Prisoners in Paradise in 1991. Both albums were packed with hits showing the band's ability to evolve while staying true to their sound. They toured non-stop, playing to massive crowds across Europe, the US, and beyond. Fans loved their energy, their chemistry, and Joey's magnetic stage presence. For a while, it seemed like nothing could stop them. But behind the scenes, the grind was taking its toll. 10 years of living, recording, and touring together had left the band exhausted. Something had to give. Here's where the story takes a dramatic turn. In 1992, after their final concert of the Prisoners in Paradise tour, Joey Tempest dropped a bombshell that shook the music world. In a heartfelt message to fans, he announced that Europe was taking a break. A break. For fans, it was like a punch to the gut. This wasn't just any band, it was Europe, the band that defined a generation. Joey explained that after a decade of being together 24/7, the band needed time apart. The decision was mutual, but it didn't make it any less painful. To top it off, their label, Epic Records, dropped them. It felt like the end of an era. The news hit fans hard. Back then, there was no Twitter or Instagram to vent on, but you can imagine the conversations at record stores and concerts. People started speculating. Was there a fight? Did someone get greedy? Was their jealousy tearing them apart? The truth is, there was no evidence of any major drama. The band was simply burned out. Living in each other's pockets for so long had worn them down, and they needed space to recharge. But Joey didn't leave fans completely hopeless. He shared a silver lining. While Europe was on hiatus, he and the other members would work on solo projects. And that's where the next chapter begins. Joey didn't waste a second. By 1995, he released his first solo album, A Place to Call Home. He called it his singer-songwriter album, a chance to step away from the big rock sound of Europe and explore something more personal. Recorded in Stockholm and London with Swedish musicians, the album was a hit. It went platinum in Sweden and sold well worldwide. Joey hit the road for his first solo European tour, and fans were blown away by his versatility. Critics loved it too. He even got nominated for a Grammy as Best Swedish Artist. For Joey, this was proof he could stand on his own. The other Europe members didn't sit idle either. Guitarist John Norum and keyboardist Key Marcello released their own solo albums, each exploring their unique styles. Norum leaned into hard rock while Marcello experimented with different genres. These solo projects showed that Europe wasn't just a band, it was a group of talented individuals who could shine on their own. But for fans, it wasn't the same. Europe had a magic that couldn't be replicated. People kept asking, would the band ever get back together? As the years went by, hope started to fade. Let's jump to 1997. Joey released his second solo album, Azalea Place. This time, he headed to Nashville and worked with producer Richard Dodd, known for collaborating with Tom Petty and the Traveling Wilburys. Unlike his first album, where Joey wrote every song himself, this one was a team effort. He collaborated with artists like Chris Difford from Squeeze and Will Jennings, bringing a fresh vibe to his music. The album was a bold step, showing Joey's willingness to experiment and grow. Fans loved the new sound, and it solidified his place as a solo star. But deep down, Joey's heart was still tied to Europe. In 2002, Joey dropped his third solo album. Recorded in London and Stockholm, it featured collaborations with artists like Lisa Miskovsky and Staka Bio. The album was polished and professional, with songs that showcased Joey's growth as a songwriter. By this point, he was a seasoned pro, respected by fans and peers alike. But something was stirring. Rumors started swirling about a possible Europe reunion. Could it really happen? After more than a decade apart, most bands would have called it quits for good, but Europe was different. Their bond ran deeper than most thought. To understand why Europe meant so much to Joey, we need to go back to his roots. Music wasn't just a job. For him, it was his life. Those vinyl records he collected as a kid, they were his inspiration. Bands like Rainbow, Scorpions, and Thin Lizzy gave him the courage to chase his dreams. He'd spend hours listening, imagining himself on stage, commanding a crowd. When he started Europe, it wasn't about fame or money, it was about creating something real, something that connected with people. That passion carried him through the highs of global stardom and the lows of the band's breakup. But being a rock star comes with its challenges, and Joey faced a big one that had nothing to do with music. In the early 2000s, the UK's Conservative Party started using the final countdown for their political campaigns without asking Joey's permission. Talk about a low blow. Joey had written the song as a fun sci-fi anthem, not a political slogan. He politely asked them to stop, explaining that the song had nothing to do with their agenda. But they kept playing it at rallies, even eyeing it as an anthem for Brexit. Joey's manager stepped in, clarifying that the song was about spaceships, not politics. The situation sparked a heated debate about using music in campaigns, but Joey handled it with grace, staying true to his principles. Compared to other rock stars, Joey's career was remarkably drama-free. He steered clear of the scandals and feuds that derailed so many bands. His focus was always on the music, not the headlines. And that brings us to the moment fans had been praying for: Europe's reunion. In 2004, after nearly 12 years apart, the band announced they were back with the original lineup that made the final countdown. Fans lost their minds. It was like Christmas morning for rock lovers. They released their 6th studio album, Start From the Dark, in 2004, followed by Secret Society in 2006. The music was fresh, powerful, and unmistakably Europe. From 2004 to 2017, Europe was unstoppable. They released a string of albums: Last Look at Eden in 2009, Bag of Bones in 2012, War of Kings in 2015, and Walk the Earth in 2017. Each one showed their growth while staying true to their roots. They toured the world, playing to packed venues and reconnecting with fans old and new. The reunion wasn't just a cash grab or a nostalgia trip, it was a full-on revival. The band's chemistry was electric, and Joey's voice was powerful as ever. They proved they weren't just relics of the 80s. They were a force in modern rock. So what made this reunion so special? It wasn't just about the music. It was about the brotherhood between the band members. The years apart had given them perspective. They'd grown as individuals, exploring their own paths, but they never lost their connection to each other. The break allowed them to recharge, reflect, and come back with a renewed sense of purpose. It's rare for a band to survive a decade-long hiatus, let alone come back stronger. But Europe did it, and they did it with style. Let's take a step back and think about this. Was Europe's break a mistake? Should they have powered through their burnout and stayed together? Or was the hiatus exactly what they needed to rediscover their spark? Some might say the break was a blessing in disguise, giving them the space to grow and come back better than ever. Others might argue that they should have never split, but the world missed out on years of great music. There's no right answer. But one thing's clear, Europe's story is one of resilience, passion, and the power of second chances. Joey Tempest's journey is at the heart of this story. He's not just a rock star, he's a dreamer who never gave up. Whether he was fronting Europe, rocking it solo, or standing up for his music, he stayed true to himself. His love for music, rooted in those vinyl records and late-night concerts, carried him through every challenge. And Europe's reunion? It's proof that sometimes the best things in life are worth waiting for. They didn't just come back, they redefined what a comeback could be. So, what can we learn from Europe's wild ride? It's about chasing your passion no matter what. It's about taking risks, whether that's going solo or reuniting with your band after a decade. And it's about staying true to who you are, even when the world tries to pull you in different directions. Europe's story isn't just about music, it's about life. They faced burnout, took a leap of faith, and came back to claim their legacy. That's not just inspiring. It's legendary. All right, rock fans, we've been on an epic journey today, from Europe's rise to fame to their heartbreaking breakup to their triumphant return. But I want to know what you think. Was the reunion long overdue, or was the break exactly what they needed? Should they have stayed together all along, or was their story perfect the way it played out? Drop your thoughts in the comments, I can't wait to read them. If you love this deep dive into Europe's story, give this video a big thumbs up and share it with your friends. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a video. Thanks for rocking out with me, and I'll see you in the next one.